Welcome in to another episode of Betting the Pitch NFL Edition with your host, the real underscore G Warner on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Joined as always by Andrew Schnicker, A underscore SCHNITKER. You follow him on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe for an Apple Podcast or on Spotify. Leave a 5-star review. It's huge for the search rankings. This will be the week 14, if I have that number correct, NFL podcast. Shindy, how you doing?
I'm feeling good. We're in the stretch run, Griffin. You got to
Been a
celebrate
long,
these.
it's been a long road. Happy we're here. We will be with you throughout the rest of the season. Trying to be Tuesday nights, assuming there isn't a a
We don't
triple
need to get
times seven murder in Austin that distracts one of our livelihoods during recording hours. But we're going to do a 6-pack of games. We're going to go through the 4 marquee, if you could call it that. I guess what are on in the
one of those
standalone
games.
windows, and then we're going to do two picks of our own. We'll have best bets end of show, so stick around for that. If you are not a member of my Patreon, check it out, patreon.com/real_G-Warner. All lines will be quoted as of Bet Online current odds on this podcast. We have podcast promo codes below. If you're a first-time depositor, I know that works. I'm not sure if it's more than that if you're reloading, but go check out SportsBetting.ag, also Bet Online. There are promo codes to get you free money from the casinos. So let's start with Thursday night. We got New England visiting Pittsburgh in a paint dry type of opportunity. We opened Pittsburgh a 6.5-point favorite with a total at 35. That total is now about to push below 30. It's currently 30 at Bet Online with juice the under, and the side is now Pittsburgh a 6-point favorite. So, how do we get to 31 points in this game?
I don't know, because the Chargers covered as a favorite, scoring 6 points against the Patriots.
They did.
It's almost mathematically impossible, except for the exact score that it was 6-0. The quarterback rotation thing, we don't need to get in the cliches of if you've got 2 quarterbacks, but I mean, I don't they're because really, like, they're neither quarterbacks at this point. Although, like, Zappy to me feels like someone that could be a great backup long term.
Do
Maybe.
you think that? Okay. I'm
Maybe.
glad, I'm
Like,
glad that
if
you
I'm
have
having to
insight.
prospect or choose between those two, um, it's just a mess. And Ramondre Stevenson hurt. Like, they're just
Yep.
getting beat up. They have no skill players to begin with. They're all getting hurt. So yeah, like, I think most people though are going to look at this and be like, wow, this feels so short, even after the Steelers laid a dud against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals last week. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of weather that got involved there,
Yeah.
though. I think Pittsburgh were losing at all points of that game from what I was seeing. Seems like New England has been able to get some pretty respectful numbers this whole season, which I think has definitely made me scratch my head and think, wow, I'm definitely falling into the trap, but didn't really happen in Frankfurt, Germany, didn't really happen in their other game on the road at the New York Giants. Also, they covered as a favorite with a safety late in the game at the New York Jets. I still think the Jets at home +3 New England might be my best bet of the year, and it lost by safety at the end. I think New England's going to try to stop the run here. I think they'll have success doing that. And then this is a potential Mitchell Trubisky matchup. I don't know why we would believe that Pittsburgh's able to move the ball at all with their quarterback situation. So to me, 30 feels like if there's ever an under you want to play, yes, you are playing the lowest one probably in NFL history, it feels. But it's Thursday night. Those games are usually pretty bad. They're quick turnarounds, which might give Bill Belichick, if he still actually coaches instead of just wears hoodies on the sideline, some advantage over Mike Tomlin. But Mike Tomlin's been around for a while, and the home crowd should be good. Silent counts don't work against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So to me, it feels like your biggest concern for scores in this game, or at least the big plays, are on defense, which I think also pushes you towards an under 30.
I think the pause that I would have with it is because if both of these offenses are so inept and they're not able to run the ball, they're not able to move the ball, then we're just going to be, it's a punt fest where field position could be a factor. Looking at the weather, mild wind, it's going to be cold-ish for me from being a Texan, but nothing crazy. But for me, like, I want to have an under that the team just wants to run the ball. decent at running the ball. They just don't have, a quarterback that can get those third down conversions. I would be interested in the trends of this, like a 30 point total, how often that actually goes under. I don't have that
I
information.
feel like 36 was like the lowest I've seen for a while years back. And then that hit 34. And then I feel like 32 this year. I was like, oh my God, that's the lowest I've seen. I don't know that I've seen a 30, but I don't know who's betting over here. I
Yeah.
don't really have any idea what number it would take for someone like myself to bet over here. I think with any sort of wind, like 1 mile per hour, honestly, if just the things on top of the uprights are moving slightly, I would not want to pass if I'm either of these teams. So moving to Sunday, we will go straight to the biggest game of the weekend. Always Sunday night's always good. Monday night, Thursday night, rarely. But we'll go Philadelphia at Dallas. A big one for now. Looks like the lead in the NFC East, or at least for Dallas to tie if they can get a win here. Open Dallas a 2.5 point favorite with a total of 48.5. That's climbed to 52, despite some injury concerns, I think, on the Philadelphia side, especially at quarterback. But the spread has moved to 3.5, even money right now. So probably 3 and juiced, depending which way you'd want to go with that. I would be, if you're backing the favorite, and advocate for buying that hook potentially, because I just don't like losing by half of a point when you could push. But if I'm a Philadelphia better, I think I'd probably take the 3 with plus money and just see if you get a push, you get a free movie, as Shindy and I like to say. I also know that there's some issues with Mike McCarthy potentially getting an appendicitis attack and getting his appendix removed potentially. I don't know if they've found it yet, but there's a lot of roles to get through on that man.
That's mean. That's mean.
And I'm actually expecting the line to climb until he's ruled out of the game, and then it'll probably actually the line will drop, and then the line will climb once he's missing, and then it'll get lower. Read my Twitter; that was better, more coherent then. So
I think you even said it wrong there at the end. I think you're saying the line is going to.
The solution to this is go to twitter.com/real_humor. That's the best spot. So Shindy, what do you think about the your beloved cows, and why this total has climbed 3.5 points with a potentially really banged up Jalen Hurts, who's been hurt for a while, and those QB runs that seems to be Sirianni's favorite thing to design. I think they're not going to work.
Yeah, I think this series mostly is trended towards a higher scoring, a faster tempo. Teams know each other very well, and normally that correlates to an under when you're talking about within the division. But these two teams, I mean, with the firepower that they've created, and yes, we can get into the injuries for the Eagles. I could see it. Like the Cowboys are trending over the last, granted, not great competition, trending toward one of the more efficient offenses in the league. Seems like they figured things out. We've most of the time, when we do these, I talk about, the coaching is where we decide when we've got two teams that are pretty even in talent, which I think these two teams are. Where's the coaching mismatch? And it's usually with the Cowboys. I don't know if I feel that way right now. And I mean, I got to give McCarthy a little bit of credit. Like the offense that they've put together, either it's out of sheer luck or they're actually doing the right smart things in current NFL, scheme. But the offense is clicking. They've been aggressive. They're throwing the ball more on downs that are not predictable. And so I like it. But I think most people are going to look to the Thursday night game against the Seahawks and say, "Oh, wow, this defense," and Deron Bland, who can take he's following the Trevon Diggs recipe from a couple years back with pick sixes. But there's obviously a lot of gettable yards there, and Jalen Hurts, healthy or not, knows how to kind of pick the pieces apart with the Cowboys defense.
Stump the analyst time. Who has more touchdowns in their career, Deron Bland or Kyle Pitts?
Well, because you're asking, it's got to be Deron Bland.
It is. I mean, I don't necessarily know that I can predict that he's going to score a touchdown this game. That certainly would help the over. Also, the Dallas side. I just think Philadelphia, I mean, following their carousel, merry-go-round, whatever, the highs and lows of the Philadelphia Eagles, had no business winning the Chiefs game, had no business winning the Buffalo game, did that back-to-back weeks, or in the same week, actually, back-to-back games. Then we're hanging around with San Francisco. Felt like they were fortunate to be in it, and I think might have taken the lead. And then San Francisco really put pedal to the metal. Jalen Hurts got hurt, but still was playing towards the end of the game, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I wonder if there are some things going on in that Philadelphia locker room that are not great. I mean, seeing their coach spazzing out, walking into the locker room like as a mature adult after he won a game he never should have at Kansas City was really eye-opening to me. But I guess that fits the Philadelphia fan base. At me if you'd like, but I feel like that is kind of a big deal. And Philadelphia not having that equal crowd behind them also is a problem, because we've seen Dallas with a pass rush against a silent count that has been so dominant. And I feel like that's the biggest thing of home field advantage in all of the NFL right now, is if your opposing team has to get off the ball a little bit later with their offensive line. The D lines are so good now that that little split second is such a difference maker that I don't really know how Philadelphia is going to move the ball significantly. I mean, I feel like it's a really good spot to buy low on Dallas after a weird Thursday night football game. If that's going to get, I mean, it feels like with the price climb from 2.5 to 3.5 or 3, whatever you want to call it, depending on what your book offers. I feel like that is some value that we're getting on a Dallas team that should have a pretty big environment. I don't really know how I rate home field advantage in Arlington as opposed to any other stadium, but for the Dallas Cowboys game I went to against the Patriots way back when, it was still pretty loud in there, and I think that's at least one thing you can count on.
Yeah, let's hang around this game for a little bit, since it's one of the more splashy ones. I think
because the other one sucked.
Yeah, like home field advantage for the Cowboys, I think has improved quite a bit. Like maybe 2-ish points, maybe 2 points for home field. And I think we go back just a couple weeks with the game in Philadelphia. Most people took away, like, yes, the ineptitude at the very, very end with Cowboys and final last minute drives and the awful stuff there. But like, I think the Cowboys were the better side even in Philadelphia. And so I think probably the market is reacting to, a 10-1 team, or 10-2 now, that probably doesn't deserve to be that. Cowboys probably hitting their peak before I would expect a little bit of a decline. And the timing just works right. Like, this is definitely a game where Cowboys fans will have it circled. Like, in these kinds of spots, primetime, Cowboy Stadium against the Eagles, this is usually where you want to hit the favorite and just sit back and enjoy the show.
The funny thing to me is I would have expected it to be the opposite going from the past years, because everyone has a target on America's team's back or whatever. But Philadelphia certainly has been more successful as a franchise recently. When I look back at the previous matchup, it looks like it closed 3 and the total was 46.5. So flipping home field or whatever you want to call it, this is pretty much saying Dallas is a little bit better, which I think I would agree based on health of quarterbacks for this point. But also putting the number up to 52 versus an outdoor 46.5 in Philadelphia seems a little bit interesting, especially considering the Philadelphia offense not really being as on schedule as it has been in the past. We've got concerns about Swift, I think, as a running back, because he's on my fantasy team and he keeps having this little red Q next to his name. We don't do doubtfuls anymore in the year of our Lord 2023, but there are some injuries there that I think are concerning, and the quarterback's the biggest one, especially if Jalen Hurts isn't able to use his legs. That's a big thing. I don't know that Dak has been really running ever since he broke his leg in that way, but I feel like he's a little bit more likely in a game of this magnitude that really matters for the division. I feel like I don't really bet teams above 3, I will admit, but there are some 3s out there. Circa's got it. Bookmaker has one. So I'm pretty interested in Dallas laying only a field goal, because if you get that late field goal victory, or if you bet the Bucks and they lead the whole game and surrender a 2-point conversion for a 3-point victory, it's really important to have that -3 as opposed to 3.5. I'm glad Andrew Schnicker did win his bet on Carolina this weekend, while it could have been really nice if they missed that 2-point and we both would have covered. But
I always want that.
Might be the first and last time I back Baker Mayfield.
Just what AT&T Stadium is fast track. With like you talked about with the indoors, but just that turf in general. Um, yeah, it's what do we have? Was it 51 outdoors? A little bit of was it raining that day against Dallas? I don't
I
know.
mean, and it could have been two more if Dak had slightly smaller feet, apparently. So, I
Right.
mean, and I don't know how much that really correlates to what will happen
Yeah.
Sunday night. I think it's mainly you believe in, I think, patterns and trends and what was successful in that first matchup, potentially reversing itself. But I just feel like these teams, and one of the nice things about a 17-week season or 18-week season with 17 games is things change significantly from week to week, from month to month, from I guess 2023 when the calendar flips over to 2024 for the playoffs. So I'm pretty interested in Dallas. I don't know if I feel anything really for a total here, but I have some questions about Jalen Hurts, and I feel like he might be one of those. If he gets hurt, like hit a certain way early, he might be quickly out of this game, which I think is another huge problem potentially for Philadelphia running out Marcus Mariota. Do you have anything more on this one, or do you want to move
No,
to?
yeah, there's no Gardner Minshew to come in and save the day for the Eagles as the backup.
Oh my God, yeah. Thank you for bringing up another one of the most horrible losses of my time on this earth. And we haven't even brought up soccer yet. So moving to Monday, we have a two-pack of Monday Night Football games, both horrible. But we're doing the standalone
We're
or whatever
selling them.
prime time. We're doing the primetime games, and you can win money on them. So that
Sure.
interests me forever. And they both kick off at the same time. So if you want some dual screen action of Tennessee at Miami or Green Bay at the New York Giants, I don't know which one I'll pick on the bigger TV that hangs above the smaller TV, or actually vice
I
versa.
know which one you're picking. We all know.
Well, Tennessee has been really has damaged my lifestyle over the past few hours or days. So Tennessee, we'll start with them. They're currently visiting Miami. Should be some pretty nice weather for the Titans. But currently, or actually, it opened 11.5 as a Miami favorite, jumped to 13, probably based on some questions about Derrick Henry being healthy or playing. Total has jumped also from 44 to 46.5. So I think the question is, can Tennessee hang around with Miami with their ground and pound offense that might be missing the biggest ground and pound rusher on their roster?
Um, they could. What can I take the other side, or do you want to take that side?
No, no, go ahead.
Because my real thought with like Tennessee, they've got some decent pass rushers. They haven't performed up to levels of previous years, but I mean the names are there, the talent's there. We've seen it before. But Miami gets the ball out faster than any team in the league, and McDaniel with his different run concepts kind of neutralizes that side of the ball. I don't know if you like believe in the Hard Knocks kind of conspiracies. I always kind of feel like the teams, they're the Hard Knocks regular season team this year. And that game against the Raiders was like pretty gross. I just didn't feel like they were as buttoned up as they had in previous weeks. And then last week came and it was disgusting.
Are you blaming Hard Knocks for that?
I always blame Hard Knocks. I think it changes everything.
I mean, to me, Hard Knocks picks the team that's up and coming and tries to pick it right. And unfortunately, this is the hardest sport to do that. So I feel like that's usually my explanation, but I haven't really been clued in because that's probably the one of a million streaming services that doesn't have soccer on it. So I don't pay for it.
Yeah, you gotta get HBO Max, or I think it's just Max now.
Yeah. Home box office, because that's for the old people, apparently.
Just Max.
Max.
Yeah, Miami to me is still one of those sneaky, like in the AFC now.
Sneaky, huh?
I think with like the power. Okay, yes, they're rated within like my top 6. I'll say
Okay.
that.
13-point favorite at home. Probably not sneaking up on anyone this week, but
do you think people are saying Dolphins to the Super Bowl? That's where I was going to go with that.
I mean, at this point, who do we trust the Baltimore Ravens because they're probably the favorite in the AFC?
So I feel like most of the professional people that I would listen to podcasts would probably say that the Ravens are the favorites.
I don't know what you're calling professional people, but I'll leave that.
You know what I'm calling. You're a professional. You're a professional.
I don't think anyone's a professional. I think we're all just doing this as a hobby, and some of us have other things to do in our lives, and other of us do not. Yeah, 6-1. You can get a bet online. The Ravens win the Super Bowl right now. That is the the cheapest priced AFC team, followed by the Dolphins at 8-1. So we got number two in the odds right now. Of course, some of that's built in how much handle they've taken so far this season, how much they feel like they can screw people out of money, all that sort of stuff as well. Which sheep will baa when you tell them to. But I don't know. I feel like Miami are designed to combat a good pass rush. We'll see if that's doable or possible, because it's you never know until you get hit in the mouth, Mike Tyson said. So I just don't know that Tennessee with Will Levis. I mean, I thought, fairly with it last week against Indianapolis, but that's pretty weak secondary. And I honestly felt like their execution was the best on screenplays when they couldn't block for a while. So, and we saw that problem early in the season against Cleveland, at least I did. So, I don't think Tennessee's a team. I can't say I'm not sure I remember the last time I bet an NFL underdog above 10 points. I'm sure they cover at a higher rate than a better or more closely spreaded game does, because I think that's a lot of times built in how much you think about a team versus you don't think about another. But I think we're running out of time, so I'm going to move next to Green Bay at the New York Giants. Open Green Bay a 6-point favorite. They're up to 7. Total opened at 37.5 down to 36. So Jordan Love suddenly is Aaron Rodgers 2.0. Probably likes his family, or liked by his family a little bit more. And the Giants are off of a bye, I believe, or at least I don't remember who they played last. I think they beat the Patriots, and Danny DeVito looks like he's still the quarterback.
He's still going to be the quarterback.
While he's sniffing the Jersey Mike's grill.
Are you going to apologize to Jordan Love?
Probably not. What would I need to apologize for?
I just feel like you wrote him off.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Now he's figured it all out.
Balling, baby. I mean, rolling against a Chiefs team, that certainly has some pimples. And then yes, he was very good against Detroit, which we're looking at. I don't know what we saw, but a blowout last week that saw the Saints suddenly make that a game, driving to potentially win the game after a huge deficit. I don't know. I think I'm impressed. Jordan Love has figured out how to throw the ball to his receivers. That's huge. Heard everyone talk about how Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love have the same mannerisms, which is cool. It's a little weird for him to be a 6.5 or 7-point favorite on the road against a competent defense, it seems. But the big question is, I don't think the Giants can keep up on the scoreboard with Green Bay. So they're going to have to keep this low scoring, and that would mean they need to stop or keep Jordan Love quiet.
Yeah, so Wink Martindale, he loves to blitz. He loves to blitz so much. That's really all he does. It's the simplest breakdown of any side of the ball for really any team, because you just know that Wink Martindale is going to send the house 80% of the time. Okay. There's no counterpunch to that either. So
get it out quick, baby. To a Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel style. Too bad that's the other Monday night game.
Yeah. I still think getting pressure on Jordan Love exposes cracks in even this two game sample size that really, like, he's been great. Like, I need to
apologize for. Yes.
I just feel like in these pockets, like, I don't want to we could, we can adapt our opinions based off the trends. It doesn't mean everything's black and white. So anyone listening, like, these things change. You got to be able to adapt to these things. I've kind of wanted to bet against the Giants almost every week since DeVito became quarterback, and I didn't get there with the Patriots, and thank goodness, because that would have been rough.
It was nice on the other side. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So, because that, like, to me, I prefer to find, okay, where are the teams that are just awful no matter what, guaranteed. Giants are one of those teams to me. So, yeah, so I think most people are going to look at that and say, wow, Packers laying 7 on the road. 4 weeks ago, they couldn't score. They couldn't beat the Raiders with Josh McDaniel leading that team. Yeah, I'll probably end up on the Giants. We'll just say it like that.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's now time to move to our 6-pack, though. I will
Already?
say, I mean, we got two games to pick, because I don't really want to talk about those anymore. I'll let you choose first, but I do want to remind the listeners that one member of this podcast has won a bet on Danny DeVito at quarterback. So
Well, I haven't bet against him yet.
that's good. But I'm just saying I won a bet with him, which was, let's just say, quite a struggle.
Mostly because like in this tenure, he's played Washington twice, and the Giants know how to beat Washington, just like
And the
Washington.
Patriots, which
And
honestly,
I
if
know the
there if
Patriots.
there's ever been a corollary to what's going to happen, the New England Patriots on the road at Pittsburgh, though they're not a 4.5 point favorite, which was maniacal, is going to be a lot of trying to get field position. And Mike Tomlin and Bill Belichick are probably like having a tea party right now, being like, "Oh my God, do you know how many times we're going to punt this week?" Oh.
What's the prop on punts? There's got to be that out there
Ooh,
somewhere.
let's look for that one. While you pick a game that we're going to talk about, because we
What
each
do you want me to? Do you want me to pick
one
the
of our
obvious game, or do you want me to go off the radar? I'll
do
let
do
you.
whatever you feel. I mean, I think I'm gonna go less obvious, so you can take the
Okay.
obvious
Well,
one.
then we got to go. Yeah, we'll go obvious. Go to Arrow. No, not Arrowhead. Is it still Arrowhead?
It
I've
is
seen it several
it is
times.
Geha Geha Field, and we were wondering if it was Geha, but Patrick
GEHA,
Patrick Mahomes said it Geha. So
Kansas City
I'll trust
Chiefs.
him. I'll trust him.
A small favorite hosting the Buffalo Bills.
Tiny favorite. You know, who knew this Buffalo Bills team at like 7-6 or whatever the Bills record is really just getting all the respect you could ask for in the world. Everywhere they go, they're slight underdog at Philadelphia. I'll read off the numbers here so that everyone has them. That's what the host does. So it opened Kansas City a 3-point favorite. We're down to 1.5, or excuse me, we're down to 2 at Bet Online. Total was opened at 48. It's now up to 48.5. So some money is coming on Buffalo, of course, and probably a Sunday night football game. That was a fairly tame effort from Kansas City. Might have impacted that a little bit. Though I guess it's still, I mean, it's a point. So, and it's in that area where points move fast once you get off that 3. So 6-6 Buffalo Bills, pretty much even on a neutral field to the 8-4 Kansas City Chiefs right now. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you that question. It's not far off. Like it's not far enough where I'd be like, wow, I have to bet this side.
I think most of the bad Kansas City performances have
Yeah.
made this where I'm probably not going to play this one, where in the past I would just bet the Chiefs blindly and say, okay, beat me, Buffalo.
My main concern is Buffalo's secondary. That man, a couple weeks ago, Josh Norman was playing a lot, which is that's scary in 2023. So can Mahomes? It's always the same question. Can those wide receivers, someone other than Travis Kelce and the other tight end, the second tight end, can someone else catch the ball and open up the field a little bit more? Pacheco has been very good, although Packers run defense not very good. So is this the week, or have we finally decided like, okay, these wide receivers have no ball skills, and so they're going to be having to play in a phone booth for every single game, which really would be to the advantage of the Bills because like their defensive line is still pretty good. It's always going to be about if Mahomes is able to work his magic and find some wide receivers, and can they catch the ball, because he is not at fault in any of this, I don't think.
I mean, he does make some really bad mistakes in the end zone that turn into interceptions a lot. But
Yeah, in previous years they were able to cover those up. This year, like they're not able to do that.
right. My dilemma from a Buffalo perspective, though, is I still don't really trust Josh Allen. I still think he turns the ball over too much. Speaking of turnovers, I don't think that getting 2 points is enough for me to want to play the road team, because that dreaded field goal in overtime can lose you the game. And I just don't know really, like, especially after watching them kind of pee that Eagles game down their leg, that I don't know that they can go to Kansas City and hang on. So with that reverse psychology, if I don't trust or like Buffalo, I guess I do like Kansas City.
Oh,
Though I honestly feel like I'm just going to be the only person at the top of Mount Everest who's wearing a bikini and saying, this is this is fun. Let's see Marquez Valdes-Scantling drop another one over the middle that might potentially swing my financial security for the next month.
yeah, I don't need to play that game. I think we both have the Chiefs against the Eagles.
That was
Um,
fun. I really that wow, delightful. So I'm gonna move. You can give your last thought, and then
yeah,
I'll
I know we got to. Buffalo is that team I can't quit because I know what they should be.
+3. I think I'm very interested in Buffalo.
But like again, I think this also goes into coaching. Like Sean McDermott against Andy Reid is a mismatch because Sean
Yeah,
McDermott does not have an offensive coordinator to disguise his ineptitude.
maybe he could fire one this week. I just don't think it's getting back to 3 though. So I think we're gonna have a lot of opportunity to think: do we want to die on the Marquez Valdes-Scantling hill? Which I'm not sure that I'm ready for it, but I might be ready for it by 4:25 Eastern time on Sunday. So I'm gonna go with a little bit off the radar. I know it's not the sexiest game out there, but I think it's important to talk about. It's Jacksonville visiting Cleveland with the shenanigans that Trevor Lawrence might play, might not play. It seems like he's out based on where this number has moved. The Jaguars opened a 3-point favorite with a total of 40. It is now Cleveland a 3-point favorite, all the way juiced. So potentially going to see 3.5. And the total is down to 30 and 1/2. So we are just a half point higher than New England at Pittsburgh. I feel like that's incredible and makes me want to play over based on watching Cleveland's defensive, let's just say, I don't even know what the word is to describe what they did against the Rams last weekend, with probably a lot of Cleveland Browns fans in attendance as well. I thought that was going to be a great spot for Cleveland. I fortunately didn't lose any money on them, but they have a huge quarterback issue as well. So Jacksonville, are they trying to get through this game, and can they take a loss in the AFC South with Houston breathing back down the back of their necks? I'm not sure. And really, I mean, a tiny total again, but it makes me want to play under and say I'll bet to see someone get this one to 31.
Yeah, we talked about the wind and weather. Wind is always my thing. It's going to be 20 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts there. Jags are going to be without offensive linemen. Beathard, I think Beathard's playing. Like a high ankle sprain coming back 6 days later is pretty unheard of.
Right.
So it just feels like a really bad situation Jacksonville's walking into.
And the Colts at 7-5 also. Don't let me undersell their 5-1 away record with a quarterback who is also incompetent. Basically, there are 4 good quarterbacks in this league at this point, and we talked about Mahomes having no weapons to even use that. So now it's that time for best bets. As always, I'm going to let _SCHNITKER on Twitter lead us off with his best bet, and then I'll come back with mine, and then we'll get out of here, post these, and everyone can like them on YouTube, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff.
All right. Well, we're gonna go back to a formula that used to work almost every time. We're gonna do Jared Goff in an outdoor environment with some weather as well, going on the road to Chicago. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. Yes, I know. This is the time of the year where you got to find the hidden gems. So we're gonna take the Bears +3 at home and expect Jared Goff to crumble under poor weather conditions outdoors.
I mean, I don't know why Chicago's trying to win, but they are, and it honestly, they were so dominant against Minnesota. We're dominant against Detroit, if not trying to lose that one potentially. I don't really know what their goals are in this world, but I don't really blame you. I think fading Jared Goff just honestly feels like how I want to spend my time. So let's get into this. I'll cut the I guess our real little portion. This is Betting the Pitch NFL edition. Your host, the real _G Warner. You just heard _SCHNITKER Andrew Schnicker on Twitter. He just gave you the Chicago Bears a 3-point underdog at home to the Detroit Lions. They're going to get some revenge for choking a game up just a few short weeks ago. I'm going to go with the marquee matchup. I believe in this Dallas team. I feel like their defense is going to I think cause a lot of problems for a banged up Philadelphia offense. We've seen their offensive line potentially losing some bodies. I'm not sure exactly how much Toradol they can shoot into Kelsey, but I think the biggest question is about the quarterback not being able to move, not being able to run. And I think it's going to be a problem with a silent count against a really loud crowd, whether people are cheering for the halftime show or actually the game. I think it's going to be a big deal. And I think Dallas goes and wins this one handily. So I'll lay the 3 right now. I would play it the -120. You'll see at Circa. And that'll get you done for this episode of Betting the Pitch NFL edition. Do you have any
Griffin is my favorite Griffin.
What?
Favorite Griffin is my favorite Griffin.
Oh, well, favorite Griffin's been very profitable in college basketball this year. Might just swear off underdogs forever because only the worst. I mean, you only get the crazy wins with favorites. You don't never get an undeserved win with an underdog. You just get the undeserved losses. And then, as we were saying before we came on here, my phone almost went in the pool off the balcony. So that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a 5-star review. That'd be huge. And give us a follow on Twitter, _SCHNITKER. I know how to spell it so well now. I know it's hard for some of you, but and the real _G Warner is mine, which is not on our video portion, but whatever. I will fix that for next time. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you all soon.